Hello, and welcome to 2014. But first, we must ask ourselves, how did we get here? So we should look no further than 30 years ago.
The company is going to shit. Do something. Nolan. 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 Nolan? Nolan!
I'm leaving the company.
What the fuck do you mean?
I made the right choice.
This is the place where the party never ends.
So just the other day, my dad says, "Hey guys, the pizza!" Then he asked me what I want on pizza. So I said, everything. You got to choose pepperoni, spaceships, cars, balls, a helicopter, mushrooms, slime, sauce, people, race cars, robots, games, food, the mayor. You know, the works.
It's 1984, and as we left off, neither company was doing well, especially for Pizza Time Theater, who have now just filed for bankruptcy, and have had their founder leave the company. After closing many of their recently opened stores, putting everything up for auction, and trying to prevent Chuck and his gang from going extinct, nothing seemed to be working, as the recent video game crash has left the company in such a loss in a matter of months. Now, before this, the company made an effort to save the company and the stores by making some changes. The biggest example being the King's rebrand in some locations to the King Cat. A Michael Jackson rebrand, and the decision that Helen Henny would finally join the full cast, as Helen was in the most balcony stages at the time. King Cat being the most shameless plug, encouraging children to go spend more money everywhere around the store. Meanwhile, for Showbiz, they were also having a pretty bad time. However, Bob Brock, overlooking this entire ordeal, understood one thing. The only way to survive was to work together. Really? The only way? Bullshit. Aaron, it really is. And the only way we can make this purchase is with your shares. You own 20, I own 80, we need 90, Factor. Okay, fine, I'll do it, but at least you're staying in the company, right? Okay, I think it's my time to leave now. You're in charge now, Dick. What the fuck? It's 1985, Back to the Future released. Dick Frank is now ahead of the newly formed Showbiz Pizza Times, and Winchester Boulevard has now closed as a Pizza Time theater, and will later become a sushi shop. But as of right now, some revisions are going under. Now that Dick is in power, he's starting to fix the issues of the now combined companies, keeping them separate but equal. For now, Dick has made sure to close around 100 unprofitable locations, improve food quality, remove unpopular games, and overall make an attempt to make both the parents and kids happy. And this restructuring program continued all the way to mid-1986, so it seemed that for now, things were finally getting better. Showbiz around this time learned how to program their own shows, so they no longer needed the help of creative engineering the previous company used to produce the Rock-afire Explosion, and only needing the rights to use the characters in stores, resulting in Aaron and creative engineering as a whole now being able to have the band at other places. This also led Showbiz to be able to make some adjustments to any stage that they wanted, leading to them adding the Liberty Stage, the Magic Show, and later Yogi Bear. By 1987, the company gained their first profit after the merger, that being of $3 million. And Pizza Time Theater finally had some changes, that being certain new shows, like the Family Album and Hot Fudge, along with 2 brand new stages, known as Chucky's House, coming in a full body and half body Cyberamics, what would later be known as the Rocker Stage and C Stage. The Rocker would last all the way to 2022, and the C Stage to 2003. Also, in 1987, Smitty's Super Service Station was removed and decided to move to Sandy Hook, Missouri, and was shortly replaced with a camp background. And different stage types were made, like the Magic Show, and that one with Yogi Bear. Both separate stores began to improve and move on, however, something was about to happen. Now, while these separate companies existing was surely nice, it wasn't what the company had wanted. There was still something left in this process of fixing the company and turning it from a hell of a mess to an amusement center. Many ideas were thrown around, even considering ditching both brands for a new one completely. However, the company had decided that the best option here was to do what they could. So they looked to Aaron, who was already selling the Rock-afire show to other restaurants, so surely he would want to have hundreds more of shows produced, right? Let's see what Aaron thinks. Hey, Aaron, it's Dick. No. Dang it. Ah, fuck. Bring out the chuckle. So here is where the misconception starts. It's usually believed that because of the Showbiz locations that had turned into Chuck E. Cheese's, you'd usually assume that Chuck bought out Billy Bob. However, Showbiz instead bought Chuck, making my job a lot more confusing. So despite the company's desire to use the Rock-afire characters permanently, Aaron saw a much better future for that damn group of robots than that shitty restaurant. And creative engineering as a whole, which we'll later check up on with Aaron about that later, because this isn't Writer Review Showbiz Pizza, that's for later. So anyways, Dick decided to keep the Pizza Time players because he had no good choice, which immediately suggested serious changes, some of which were happening before this, such as these cool costume prototypes. And this seemed to be what they would do over the next few years. It's the 90s, and currently Dick and the company are testing out some new stages. The Cyberamics have gotten their first stage of the decade, this being known as the Road Stage, with the premise being of a stage on a road. Being primarily used for locations with half-body cybers like used in the C Stage, and the Balcony, and the Portrait, and also partially the Rocker, but the company who was also making another stage for those creative engineering bots. And with this recently found footage, we now know that the stage was actually installed in this location. This being the company's first attempt at rebranding the former band. This stage had a lot of differences to the final stage, like how it only uses 2 stages instead of 3, and some characters being retrofitted into different bots, and also all of these, but I'd like to specifically mention how they plan to turn the extra animatronics from the previous Rock-afire stage into Mr. Munch. They turned like 4 animatronics, just all of different characteristics, different sizes too, all into Mr. Munch. The unification concept also brought more stages for Cyberamics to replace the Rocker and C Stage, and Balcony, and Portrait, and also occasionally the Road Stage came along, these being the 1 and 2 stages, being self-explanatory because they have 1 or 2 stages, and obviously the entire concept unification process could not be how it is viewed today if it wasn't for the most commonly associated outcome of this process, that being the finalized concept of the test stage shown before, that being known as the 3. You may want to grab some tissues for this one, folks. At some point past the creation of YouTube, the full concept unification tape was leaked onto YouTube, and even without the weirdly depressing music playing occasionally throughout the video, the process of seeing these characters that have been loved and cherished from children all across the states being stripped from their clothes and transformed into these completely different characters operating in the body of which originally served them as a messed up concept, but would probably treated a lot more like that from outsiders if it wasn't about a robotic pizza loving group of animals. However, After these robots have been stripped of their more advanced personalities, because after the merger, the Pizza Time players had been reduced to simple traits of happiness and joy, the mechanics within the bots still arguably created the best stage ever made by Chuck E. Cheese. Yeah.
That's it. Game, set, match. It's over. We will have a new president of the United States.
It's 1992, and the remodel is done. The remodel is the first notable one in the history, looking like this. However, now that things are going up for good old Chuck E. Cheese's Pizza Time... I didn't know it could do that. Now that things are going up for the company, that doesn't mean that it's going to get boring, as the 90s have just started, and if there's anything that your parents or you could say about the 90s, you know they weren't exactly boring. So stay tuned for the next episode of Writer Reviews.
Alright, next day! Hey, wait a minute, what happened? What happens next? Come on, let's see the next episode!
That's it?
What?